Hello and welcome, ladies. Happy to have you here today, and I'm happy to be here today at the Flip Your Switch workshop. And tonight we're going to do something dangerous. We're going to take everything we know about weight loss after 40, and we're going to throw our rule book out the window. Because here's the thing. If what you are doing right now was working, you wouldn't be investing an hour of your time to be with me here today. But I'm glad you're here because all that weight loss advice we're bombarded with every single day from influencers on Instagram who have never had a hot flash telling us what to do, from the gym bros that'll never have metabolic changes, to every company out there profiting off of weight loss pills and potions, which, if they worked, they'd be out of business, to all the misinformation that we find on Google and AI. All this advice you've been handed throughout the years, from calories in to calories out, to try harder, to diet harder, to limiting your calories, to counting macros, to cutting carbs. All of it was written for a body that isn't yours anymore. Because after 40, and for the rest of our lives, our muscles change. Our body shifts from burning to conserving. It has nothing to do with willpower or laziness. It's merely science. Because when we lose weight, our brains and hormones often turn up the volume on hunger hormones. They turn down the volume on our fullness hormone, and they turn down the furnace so our calories burnt. And with weight loss, we often lose muscle as well as fat, making us burn even fewer calories from day to day. So if you found yourself yo-yo dieting, or you find that you keep working harder, diet harder, and you're not seeing results, this is why. Because when we limit ourselves and work against our hormones, instead of with our hormones, we feel hungrier, we feel less full, and we burn even fewer calories. And the scale keeps creeping up, or we yo-yo. And these changes can last for years after a diet. And that's often why diets feel like punishment instead of progress. So today, I'm not giving you another to-do list. I'm sure you have a stack of those on your desk. I'm giving you 3 tiny evidence-based switches that you can flip starting tomorrow or today. Okay. 1, to flip the switch on the food and your GI tract. So to kick some of those hormones going. A 2nd, to flip a switch on movement. And a 3rd, to flip a master switch. Each one is a single, ridiculous easy trick that you can try. Start 1 switch a day for 3 days, and you'll start to feel a difference in just 3 days. So stay with me to the end, and I'll hand you the exact 3-day starter. 1 tiny trick per day for 3 days. So small that you may even roll your eyes at how doable this is. And it's powerful enough that you'll want more. Okay, so no shame, no fads, just science that actually helps. Are you ready? All right, let's flip this switch. So before I tell you the science, before we dive into the science, I want to be crystal clear about who this is for. Okay, this is geared for the metabolism and waistband of a woman who is perimenopause or beyond. Okay, once those hormones start changing. So whether you are in your first day of perimenopause or your last period was decades ago, see if any of these ring true. Maybe you found that you've done the work, right? So you've tried the trendy diets, the juice cleanses, the early morning workouts, and still watch the scale or your waistband creep up. Maybe you're the woman with a new belly who thinks, where did this come from? I didn't have this in my 30s. right? Or maybe you're the woman who wakes up exhausted. Maybe you're wired at night, your brain just won't settle, yet you're exhausted all day. And you're wondering why your sleep stopped helping, or even how it's possible to sleep all night and wake up exhausted. Maybe you're a woman whose hunger feels like it's coming from somewhere deep inside your body, right? Not from boredom. But you're sick of being told that you just need more willpower, okay? Maybe you're the woman whose clothes no longer fit like they used to, and you've changed nothing in your life. Maybe you're the woman whose doctor has shrugged off her symptoms, said it was just aging, suck it up. Maybe you were handed a pamphlet and offered one-size-fits-all advice, right? Or maybe you're just simply the woman who wants solutions based on science and research and statistics, not fads, not generic advice from AI, and not what worked 20 years ago. You want something obvious, simple, and proven that you can actually implement in your life. And most of all, you're a woman who just wants to feel like yourself again. And this has nothing to do with the scale, okay? If any of these ring true for you, this is for you, because this is exactly what we'll be addressing today. Receive information that hopefully can genuinely start to transform your health journey. So it's fair to say, why should I take advice from you? Who are you? For those who are new to my world, my name is Carrie Ann K. Kubatko. Everyone calls me K, or Professor K, and I am a lifelong scientist and researcher. I have researched and done science for my entire adult life. I am a retired professor from Ohio State, and I've also had the privilege of being faculty at the University of Miami and Notre Dame. And my career has involved collaborations on various projects that have brought together researchers, government agencies, and even industry. And in that work, I've seen firsthand how frustrating it can be to try to interpret complex research papers. They're simply written by scientists for other scientists. So not only can they be extremely boring if you're outside of the field, but they're not written to be translated to the average person outside of research. They're not written for the brilliant, curious women like you who stand to benefit the most from our breakthroughs. So it's like trying to read a roadmap written in a foreign language. And I don't believe in making things complicated. I believe in stripping away everything that isn't working for you and focusing laser sharp on what will actually deliver results for real women in real time without restricting our lives, without taking up our entire days, without punishing diets, and without endless hours at the gym. Because I know I'm busy and I don't have time for all of that. And I'm assuming you don't have time for all of that either. So I can share a wall of degrees and certifications from Ivy League schools, right? But that's paper, right? It's just paper. And it doesn't really matter. What matters is that this isn't just a subject I teach, okay? It's my life's work and my personal journey. I'm in my 5th year of perimenopause, and living this experience has only deepened my passion for menopause research, because I too had to lose weight that snuck up on me. And I'm supposed to know better. So these are tools that not only have I used, but I use with my clients and in my various programs. So if you ever wonder whether this stuff actually works in the real world, yes, I only share things that work in the real world, whether it's through my research, through my programs, or what I've experienced with my clients. It's science that will turn into real life for hundreds of women. And this has been successful for hundreds in my groups, but thousands if you include my group coaching. So relax. These tips that I'm sharing with you today are yours. I don't do hard pitches. I don't do sales calls. So completely relax. And if at any time you want to know more about working with me, I will include right now a document in the chat, which is how you can find out more about how to work with me. All right, so that's in the chat right now. And if you want to know more at any point in time, great, there it is. And I'll have one slide at the end about working with me. The rest, you can just relax, because this isn't going to be an hour-long pitch. This is just, the goal here is for you to get these tips. All right, so let's lay out our roadmap for today. I've structured this workshop into 4 distinct pillars. Think of it as building a house. We can't put up the walls until we understand the foundation. Okay, so we're going to understand the foundation. We're going to dive into pillar 1. This is our foundation. This is the universal weight loss trap. This is the foundational science that applies to everybody, right? Not just to us, menopausal women, postmenopausal, perimenopausal, right? Women over 40. This is for everybody, whether you're 25 or 70, man or woman, at any age, right? We'll go into the science and some shocking research that explains why your body is biologically programmed to fight against diets and weight loss. Okay, this is the part that will make you say, oh my God, it's not just me. It's not just in my head. No, it's not. It's the science. Okay, then we'll dive into pillar 2. We'll get a little more narrow, a little more specific, right? Because in pillar 1, we're talking about everybody. Then let's hone in on how it's different once we hit menopause. I call this the menopause multiplier, because it's going to magnify the results that we're seeing in pillar 1. We're going to get specific. We're going to look at how hormonal shifts of perimenopause and postmenopause take that universal weight loss trap and put it on steroids, right? This is the why now and why me part of the equation, right? And then once we have that information, we can dive into pillar 3 and uncover a couple of the hidden switches that recent research has shown. And this is exciting, cutting edge, fascinating research that most women have never heard of. And we'll talk about the silent fire inside your body called inflammation and astonishing power of your gut's own hormone regulating department. And these are some secret levers you can actually control. And finally, we're going to bring it all together into pillar 4, which is your 3-day reset. I'm not going to leave you with a mountain of information and no plan. You're going to get a lot of information, but you're going to leave with a plan. I'm going to give you one simple, powerful action to take each of the next 3 days. 1 change per day for 3 days. And these will each work to flip 1 switch per day. And this is your starting point, all right? Are you ready? Let's start with pillar 1. So let's dive right in, the universal weight loss trap. Now, before we even begin to talk about hormones or menopause or anything specific, to begin with a woman over 40, right, we need to pull back, right? So we're going to talk about specifics of what we're going through in perimenopause and menopause and how it's affecting our metabolism. But first, let's pull back the curtain on some fundamental truths about the human body, whether you're 25 or 50 or 80, and whether you're male or female. And I want you to think of it like this. If your car is making a strange noise, a new noise, you can't really understand the problem if you don't know how the basic engine works, right? So we need to know about pistons and spark plugs and fuel injection before we can diagnose a specific issue with our car. Our bodies are the same. They come with factory installed operating systems for weight management. And this system is ancient, not because we're ancient. I don't mean we're ancient. I'm not ancient. I mean, it's evolved over generations and generations, right? It was designed for humans in a world of scarcity. It wasn't designed for humans in a world with Starbucks in every corner, okay? But our body's still operating like we live in a world of scarcity. this hormone regulation and this weight regulation hasn't evolved as fast as our society has. So in this first section, we're going to explore that universal software. This is the science that applies to everybody, men and women, 20s, 50s, 80s. Understanding this foundation is the key. We have to understand this before we can hone in more specifically on menopause, because this is going to unlock everything else we're going to talk about today. It's the aha moment that might change how you look at weight loss. All right, so let's start with one of the most groundbreaking and validating studies in weight loss history. It's been almost 10 years now that researchers at the NIH, the National Institute of Health, did something really fascinating. They tracked the contestants of season 8 of The Biggest Loser, and they tracked them for 6 years after the show ended. So of the 16 contestants, they tracked 14 of these contestants. And I have never watched the show, but a lot of people have watched this show. And during the show, the contestants lose an incredible amount of weight. But they don't just do it at home doing whatever it is they were doing. They do it with the aid of some of the world's best trainers and the world's best nutritionalists. And everything at their disposal for that particular network, right? So they're losing weight with some of the best crew possible. And everyone assumed that the story ended there, right? But it didn't. The researchers made a shocking discovery. So here they were 6 years after these events where these people lost massive amounts of weight. Most of the 14 contestants they followed had regained a significant amount of the weight. Okay, fine, right? That happens to all of us, right? I've lost and gained weight. So what? Okay, who cares? Who cares? Why are we talking about this? Well, here's the thing. Their bodies, 6 years later, were still fighting back from the weight lost 6 years prior. And what I mean by that is their resting metabolism, which is, I'm sitting right now. So if you're sitting too, resting metabolism is just how many calories we burn, just being alive, right? Just being here. So our resting metabolism is how many calories we burn, not counting the calories in workouts and all those things. So these 14 contestants, their resting metabolisms had slowed down dramatically during the show. This is to be expected, okay? But instead of recovering, right, as they regained the weight, their metabolisms slowed down even further. This is shocking because on average, their bodies were burning 500 fewer calories per day than someone exactly the same weight and body competition who had never been on the show. All right, just think about that. They went on the show, worked with the best nutritionalists and trainers in the world, lost a massive amount of weight, and here they are 6 years later, burning whatever weight they're at, burning 500 fewer calories per day than someone the exact same weight. 500 calories. That's not a small number. That's a full meal's worth of calories that their bodies are refusing to burn. So this phenomena is called the metabolic adaptation. And it's the first piece of evidence that your body has a powerful, long-lasting defense against weight loss. And it proves or demonstrates that regaining weight is not a failure of willpower. Okay, so if you found that you've lost weight and then regained it, this is not about willpower. Okay, this is a biological fight that's happening here. So our metabolism slows down, but this is only half of your body's defense system. This is only half of what's happening. The other half happens in your brain, okay? So in a landmark study in the New England Journal of Medicine, they looked at appetite hormones after weight loss. So they found that after the participants of this study lost weight, their bodies started producing more of a hormone called ghrelin. Okay, ghrelin is your primary hunger hormone. And we need this hunger hormone because without it, we might just forget to eat and starve to death, right? So we need something in our body saying, hey, okay, I'm hungry, feed me, right? We need a hunger hormone. Okay, we need this primary hunger hormone. But we don't want to overstimulate this hormone or what's going to happen, right? All of the time, our body's thinking, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, even when we're not. Now, they had overstimulated their ghrelin, hunger hormone, but at the same time, their bodies produced less of a hormone that signaled satiety. Okay, hormones like leptin that tell our body we're full. So now we have more hormone telling us we're hungry and less of a hormone letting us know when we're full. This sounds a bit like a disaster, right? So not only is your brain getting a louder, I'm hungry signal, but it's also getting a quieter, I'm full signal. And this wasn't a short-term study. Now, a lot of short-term studies are by like pharmaceuticals and different companies pushing weight loss stuff. And they'll do a short study like, hey, in 1 week, lost all this weight, right? So you need to follow these studies through long term. These hormonal changes persisted for at least a year after the diet ended. So at least 1 year after these people dieted, they still felt more hungry and less full than before they dieted. So if you're dieting and if you're yo-yoing up and down the scale, if you're doing everything right and still not seeing results, you're not imagining this. Your brain is being chemically hijacked to make you feel hungrier and less satisfied, all in an effort to drive your weight back to where it was before. Because your brain thinks it's protecting you. It genuinely thinks it is. Okay, so what do these two things, the metabolic adaptation and the hunger hijacking, what does it add up to? They are the enforcement mechanisms for a powerful biological concept called weight set point theory. Okay, so your weight set point. Think of it as a thermostat in your house. Okay, you set it to a comfortable temperature. My thermostat's set to 72. And my HVAC system will work to control that temperature. Your body has a similar thermostat for your weight. It doesn't have a goal weight, okay? But instead it defends a weight range that it considers safe. So when you go on a diet and your weight drops below the set point, your body perceives it as a threat. Just like if it drops below 72 outside, my thermostat is going to kick up the heat. So your body will think a famine's coming. So it'll turn on the heat and trigger a metabolic slowdown, just like what we saw in that Biggest Loser study. And this will unleash the hunger hormones that we just talked about. It will do everything in its power to push your weight back to a zone that your body thinks keeps you safe. This is an ancient survival program. It's not meant for your body to be cruel. It's what kept our ancestors alive through the ice ages, through droughts. The problem is, this brilliant system can't tell the difference between a real famine and, I don't know, a 30-day cleanse you might go on. So that 30-day cleanse is going to make your body think it's in famine. It's a universal trap. And so now we're going to see how, we're going to hone in a little and see how menopause takes this trap and makes it, let's say, a little more complex. All right, so we've established the universal challenge of weight set point, of hunger and fullness hormones, of metabolic adaptation as our body fights back. These are universal, okay? Whether you're 30 or 80, everyone, man, female, whatever. So let's get to the heart of the matter, because we're here to see why what we're experiencing now is even more different than what we experienced in our 20s and 30s. So whether you're in your first week of perimenopause or your decades post-menopause, let's dive into pillar 2, the menopause multiplier. So let's be very, very clear. Your body at 50 is not the same as your body at 30. Okay? Your body at 70 is not the same as your body at 30. And our body at any age is not the same as a male counterpart's body at that age. Okay, so I'm 51. My metabolism, my body, and the way my body will respond is going to be different from my brother's. At 30, you were in an estrogen dominant state. Okay, estrogen was your metabolic superhero. It was your master conductor, telling your cells how to respond to insulin, telling your body how to manage blood sugar, keeping your stress hormones like cortisol under control. It was telling your body where to store fat, preferentially on your hips and thighs, that subcutaneous fat away from your vital organs. Okay. Now, a man at the same age experiences a very slow, gradual decline with his hormones. But there's no sudden cliff, no abrupt rewriting of the rules. Some men do experience a huge drop, but very few men, fewer than 2%, go through the male equivalent of menopause, which is called andropause. We will all women will experience menopause, however. So for us, starting usually in your 40s, we enter perimenopause. So once we start that, we start this metabolic transition. And the hormonal changes aren't gradual, okay? From perimenopause and then going into post-menopause, these hormonal changes can be quite volatile and then plummet. So it's not a gentle slope, it's a cliff. And you didn't just step up a curb and you can correct yourself, right? We're falling off a metabolic cliff. And this fall is completely going to rewire your body's operating system, including those for weight loss. So what does this metabolic cliff look like? I call it the menopausal hot mess because it's a perfect storm of 3 hormonal shifts that are going to work together against you. And you've probably heard of all 3. There are menopause specialists that will specialize in any one of these 3. But the thing is, it's not going to work unless you target all 3 together because they're all interconnected. Okay. First, as we know, estrogen plummets. That's what we think of when we think of menopause, right? We think our periods stop, estrogen declines, boom, that's menopause, right? Not at all. So much more complex than that. But we lose this metabolic superhero when estrogen plummets. So we lose our body's natural tendency to burn fat efficiently. We lose that. And we get this new prime directive to store fat, especially around our abdomen. And this is because our body needs estrogen to survive. So when our ovaries stop producing estrogen, we need that estrogen to survive. So our adrenals and our visceral fat can step in to start producing estrogen precursors, so the E1 precursors. Now, your visceral fat is an extremely inefficient way of getting estrogen. But because we need estrogen, our body is going to store this visceral fat, which is around your organs, okay? So our bellies bloat. The second is cortisol, okay, which is our main stress hormone. So why? right? One of the biggest reasons is sleep disruption. So hot flashes and night sweats, they're major physical stressors that fragment our sleep. And this lack of quality sleep causes your body to pump out stress hormone cortisol. And cortisol has one very specific job. It tells your body to store energy as fat around your vital organs, and your belly expands. It's a survival mechanism that has gone haywire. And third, this is crucial, your insulin resistance increases. And we tend to think of insulin with diabetes, right? I know I never paid attention to my insulin until I was perimenopause. And I'm not pre-diabetic. I don't have diabetes. But we lose insulin resistance. Okay, so our insulin resistance increases. So as estrogen declines, our cells become numb to the hormone insulin. So imagine insulin as a key that unlocks your cells to let sugar in for energy. Okay, so our cells need sugar for energy, and insulin's like the key to let it in. And during menopause, the locks get a little rusty. So insulin's knocking, hey, let me in, you need some energy, but no one's answering because the lock's rusted out. So sugar can't get in as easily, so it builds up in your bloodstream. And your body's only option is to shuttle it away into fat storage. And this is part 3 of that storm that defines this stage of life. So what is the ultimate consequence of this hormonal threat, right? Of this hormonal storm? We have estrogen as well as other sex hormones. We have cortisol and sex hormones. We have stress hormones, and then we have blood sugar hormones. So it's a hostile takeover of your body's thermostat. So this combination of low estrogen, high cortisol, and rising insulin resistance sends a powerful new set of signals to your brain. And your brain interprets this new internal environment as the new normal. So it takes that weight set point, remember that weight set point we talked about in pillar 1, and it cranks it up to a higher number because it's trying to keep us safe. And this is the most important concept I want you to take away for today. The reason it feels like you're fighting your own body with traditional diets is because you are, right? But the good news is that you're not fighting a lack of willpower. If you had no willpower, you wouldn't even be watching this. So you have the will, you have the drive and desire. You're here wanting to know what the hell's happening in your body. Okay? So, but you are fighting a recalibrated biological system that's now defending a new higher weight with every tool it has, with the slower metabolism, with overwhelming hunger signals, with lowering its fullness signals. This is the scientific reason for your struggle. And understanding this is the first step. And maybe it's also a huge relief to know it's not you, right? Because you can't win by fighting harder. You can't. You win by learning how to gently sneak in and recalibrate those controls. And now that we know the science, we can look at how to do that. It starts by understanding these hidden switches we're about to talk about. And this brings us to pillar 3, all right? But let's take a little breath. We've just covered some really heavy-hitting science. And now understanding that this menopausal hot mess, that this perfect storm of plummeting estrogen, of rising cortisol, of stubborn insulin resistance, it's all real. And we know that it performs a hostile takeover of our body's thermostat, your weight set point, making your own biology fight against you. So even if we stopped right here, you would know more than most people know about why weight loss feels so impossible in menopause. Okay. Of course, we're not going to stop here. This is just the tip of the iceberg. what we're talked about so far is the big obvious players, but there's some cutting edge research that I want to talk about, some hidden forces at work, all of which need to work together to calm this storm. And we're only going to talk about two of these hidden switches at a deep level. Of course, there are lots and lots and lots that we cover in our programs. But we're going to talk about two, because when you learn to control them, you can start this chain reaction going, right? So we're going to uncover a silent, smoldering fire inside your body that is called inflammation. And also what is called your body's second brain, your gut, okay? And some particular bacteria within your gut. And this is where the science gets really exciting. And why we're here to find a whole new level of control that you may not even have known that you had, right? So first, let's talk about a concept that you may never have heard of, but I guarantee most of you are feeling it in your body every day, okay? Inflammation. But this is a particular kind of inflammation. Inflammation, right? Inflammation. It's exactly what it sounds like. Inflammation meets aging, okay? It's inflammation that comes with aging. It's simply what it sounds like. Think of it as not as a raging bonfire in your body, but just like a small smoldering burn of embers that never quite goes out. And when we hit menopause and our hormone, these three hormones start going out of control, it's like a double whammy. First, we lose estrogen, which has potent anti-inflammatory properties. It was like a natural fire extinguisher. And second, we gain more visceral body fat, visceral fat around our belly, okay? So this visceral fat that goes around your organs acts like a factory, and unfortunately, it pumps out some very inflammatory molecules. And this isn't some abstract medical concept, and it's not woo-woo, right? This is research. This is research-based. This is the direct physical reason for so many of this symptoms you may be experiencing. If you have aching joints that make you feel old overnight, it's inflammation. If you have brain fog, where you walk into a room and forget why you're there, you forget a colleague's name, forget dates, forget why you're at the grocery store, inflammation. If you're fatigued all the time and stubborn resistance to weight loss, all fueled by this silent internal fire of inflammation. So to turn on the weight loss switch, we have to learn how to cool the inflammation that we're experiencing. And the second hidden switch is one of the most exciting and empowering discoveries in menopause science. And it's not my favorite study in menopause science, but it's cool, right? So a cool group of experiments that have been done. So we think of menopause as ovaries, but as our ovaries and of changes that happen in our adrenals or our brain. But very few times do we talk about the changes in our gut. But we have identified a specific collection of gut microbes, the estrobolome. These tiny bacteria have a legitimate superpower. And here's how it works. Imagine your liver. So your liver is like the cleanup crew of your body. Okay, so imagine your liver as the cleanup crew taking in estrogen. Okay, it takes up estrogen, breaks it up into metabolites, and then packages it up into, like, let's call it molecular bubble wrap, right? And then sends it to your gut to be excreted, okay? But now in your gut, so the liver dumps this bubble wrapped estrogen metabolites into your gut. But our gut has this team of specialized bacteria called the estrobolome that acts as a recycling crew for estrogen. they produce a special enzyme that can pop off that bubble wrap, freeing that estrogen and sending it back into your system for another tour of duty. All right, so think about that for a second. Your gut bacteria can literally recycle estrogen, right? Giving you more to work with. But this is a delicate balance. The problem is menopause disrupts this delicate ecosystem, not just your microbiome, but so many things within your gut. The incredible news is that while you can't turn back on your ovaries, you absolutely can change the health of your gut. And it's pretty easy and straightforward to do. This gives you a tangible, powerful new lever to control what most women have no idea exists. All right, so we've discovered this silent fire called inflammation that could be driving your joint pain and brain fog. We've unveiled the estrobolome, so your gut's superpower for recycling estrogen. And this is the kind of science that should be on every front page of newspapers because it's empowering and validating. But it can also feel like a lot, right? So if right now you're sitting here feeling a little overwhelmed, because I am giving you a lot of information, right? Maybe you're thinking, this is incredible. I feel validated. Now I know what the hell this belly's caused from, but my head is spinning, Kay. What am I supposed to do with all of this? I'm already busy. I have this to-do list. My desk is full. I'm just trying to get my checklist done for the day. Why are you giving me all this information? All right. And that's the most important question because knowledge is only powerful if we turn it into action. So let's take this knowledge and turn it into action. And that's what the fourth pillar is all about. We are officially shifting gears. We're moving from the science to simple, real life action that we can take. All right. So I'm not going to give you a 50-point checklist that leaves you feeling more overwhelmed than when you started. I'm not going to do that. I believe in simplicity. I'm going to give you the first 3 keys to unlock everything we've just talked about. We're going to build your 3-day reset with one simple, powerful, science-backed change to make each day for the next 3 days. Okay, this is where you start flipping tiny switches. Okay, we know menopause weight loss is complex, like being thrown into a cockpit and asking to fly a Boeing 747. We have pulleys and levers and switches and all of this lights and everything happening. We have a metabolic set point. We have hunger hormones, ghrelin. We have fullness hormones like leptin. We have our stress hormones like cortisol. We have our blood sugar hormones like insulin. We have our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, androgens, testosterone. Not to mention our thyroid, our adrenals, our pituitary glands, our liver. It's a lot, right? So there are a lot of switches that we need to worry about in menopause, but let's just simplify all of this for a second. Let's just start with 3, okay? Because I can't teach you how to fly a Boeing 747 in 1 hour. But I can show you the first 3 controls to get you running down that runway. And when you're ready for more, you know where to find me. So let's get started. I'm not asking you to overhaul your entire life. That's setting you up for failure. Any program that you ever consider joining, if they give you a lot to do fast, it's setting you up for failure. Because changes that last are small micro changes you're going to make in your life that are lasting. Okay. So let's just start with 3 steps that you can do. 1 change per day to flip 1 switch per day. And this is how you begin to speak your body's new language. Let's dive into day 1. Day 1 is where we flip the food switch. And let me be clear here. I'm not going to tell you to eat less. I'm not going to tell you to count your macros. I'm not going to tell you just eat more protein. That's all you need, bro. Yes, you need more protein. But this is all advice that we've heard a million times. Okay. And most of it is nonsense. We know now that doesn't work. This is far more sophisticated. It's about building a metabolically active plate to get that gut going and talk to our estrobolome. Because as estrogen declines, our muscles develop something called anabolic resistance. So think of our muscles as having a hard time hearing, right? So when we were younger, a little whisper of protein was enough to get our muscles going, right? Now we have to shout at them a little bit, right? When we were young, a little protein, hey, great, our muscles are fine. Now we're like, hey, muscles, protein. So we're gonna hit our muscles with a bigger, more strategic dose of protein. So research shows in perimenopausal and postmenopausal women, 30 to 40 grams of protein at a time, the first hour of waking. A healthy protein, so a protein rich in amino acid leucine, will act as a key ignition for muscle repair. This is your non-negotiable signal to fight back against age-related muscle loss or sarcopenia. Okay, but protein is just the start. So I know the gym bros are just like, add more protein. No. It's so much more complex than that because you have to pair it with two crucial allies. First, high fiber carbohydrates. So take that myth that carbs are the enemy and throw it out the window, okay? Your body needs carbs. Your body needs healthy carbs, the long chain carbohydrates. These are essential fuels that your brain and body and every cell in your body need. And exercising without them can actually cause you to lose muscle. But the real magic is the fiber that's in these long chain carbohydrates. So veggies, beans, whole grains. So for you vegetarians, you're golden here, right? Because you have your protein and your long chain carbohydrates in one. These are all foods that your estrobolome love. That gut hormone recycling team that we're talking about. Even more exciting is this combination of protein and fiber is scientifically shown to trigger your body's own natural release of GLP-1. And if you don't know what that is, it's the hormone, the fullness hormone targeted by drugs like Ozempic, okay? Ozempic and Wegovy. These are drugs made to simulate your body's own hormone that you already make, okay? So finally, we have our healthy proteins, our long-chain carbohydrates. We're gonna add to our breakfast healthy fats from sources like avocados, olive oils, nuts are a great one. Okay, these fats are crucial for cooling that inflammation fire and providing building blocks for your hormones. So your mission for day one is simple. On breakfast tomorrow, build a plate using this formula, okay? A healthy protein, a fistful of smart carbs, and then fill your plate with colorful fibrous veggies, okay? Make sure you have something on there with a healthy fat. So a 3-egg omelet with spinach and Swiss cheese, a handful of blueberries, a handful of nuts, and an avocado. Golden. That's a huge breakfast, but this is what I want you to do. Not that particular breakfast, but something with this formula. On day 2, we're gonna flip the movement switch. We're going to completely reframe the purpose of exercise. For years, we've been told that the secret is burn off what you eat, hit the cardio, but that's old, broken model. It's not calories in, calories out. The gym bros don't listen, okay? Your mission is to become your own power plant, and here's how. I want you to think of your muscles as glucose sponges. So every time you eat healthy carbs, they break down into sugar in your bloodstream. Insulin's job is to get that sugar out of your blood and into your cells. But as we know, our cells are now insulin resistant. Strength training is the ultimate solution. When your body builds muscle, you're literally building bigger sponges. You create more storage space to soak up that sugar right out of your bloodstream, which is the most powerful way to reverse insulin resistance. And second, think of every strength training session as a deposit into your bone bank, because as estrogen leaves, our bones become vulnerable, which is why we have such high rates of osteoporosis. But the mechanical stress of lifting weights or using your own body weight directly signals your bone building cells to get to work. So you are literally building stronger, more resilient skeleton for decades to come. And then, of course, there's cortisol that this helps with. Many women find that when they lose weight, they double down on high intense cardio. But the science says that too much high intense cardio can chronically elevate your stress hormone cortisol. And what did we learn about cortisol? It's the belly fat storage hormone, right? It's your stress hormone. This is why you can run yourself into the ground in cardio and at the gym and see fat around your middle increase. Strength training, on the other hand, builds resistance to stress. So your mission for day 2 is not to go sweat for an hour. Not at all. It's to take out your calendar right now and make 2 non-negotiable appointments with yourself, 2 dates with yourself for 30 minutes of strength training, and do one of those on day 2. Okay, this goal isn't burning calories. You're building a power plant. So I don't mean you have to go find a trainer. Okay, you don't need to do that. You can do this at home. Squats, wall sits, push-ups, planks, sit-ups. All this you can do right at home with your own body weight. Okay, day 3. We've sent new signals with our food and our movement. Day 3, you're going to flip the master metabolic switch. This is the unsung hero of menopause, a mineral so crucial yet so overlooked. It's involved in over 300 essential reactions in your body, and it directly targets the core problem of the menopausal hot mess. And it's simple: magnesium. First, and this is the most exciting part, think of magnesium as the master key to insulin resistance. So a wave of new research is showing that magnesium supplements can significantly improve insulin sensitivity, even in people who aren't technically deficient. So remember those rusty locks? Magnesium can act like WD-40, helping your insulin receptors work better and allowing your body to manage blood sugar more efficiently. And also, magnesium is your body's natural relaxation mineral. Our magnesium levels tend to fall right along with our estrogen. And this deficiency is directly linked to anxiety and terrible sleep that plagues so many of us. So by restoring our magnesium levels, you can calm your nervous system, getting a more restorative sleep, a deeper sleep, and also lowering your cortisol, right? So we're going to lower our cortisol. We're going to power down for an hour. Okay, tonight, an hour before bed, turn off your screens and have a small magnesium-rich snack, like a handful of almonds or a single square of dark chocolate. Literally, your homework's to eat dark chocolate. Dark chocolate though, over 60% cocoa. Okay. And I want you to seriously consider talking to your provider about a supplement like magnesium glycinate, a supplement, adding it to your nightly routine. It's a form that's easily absorbed and known for its calming effects. So talk to your provider about that. So this isn't just a vitamin, it's a targeted strategic intervention. Okay. So this is our 3rd day. Right. So today we've turned on the first 3 switches, and you now have a tangible, science-backed plan to start new conversations with your metabolism. And this is your 3-day kickstart. But, let's be honest, we need more than 3 days and 3 levers. We need to know how to handle the next 30 days, the next 300 days, the rest of our lives. Because we've just realized that everything from perimenopause through our postmenopausal years are like stepping into the cockpit of a very sophisticated aircraft. And we've learned what a few of those important switches do, but to truly fly the plane and get it off the ground with confidence, to navigate the turbulence of a stressful week, to adjust for holidays, to know exactly which levers to pull and when and how and what combination, you need kind of a full flight manual. And you might even want a co-pilot to guide you until you have the confidence to do it on your own. So if what we've talked about today has resonated with you, if you're feeling a spark of hope and you're ready to stop guessing and start living in a body that feels strong and energetic again, then I want to personally invite you to continue this journey with me. If not, that's okay. You have these 3 levers, these 3 switches that you can start today or tomorrow, right? These are yours. Take them. I can't wait to hear how you do with them. If you want to learn more about flying with me, because the real magic happens when we take this science and build a system around it that is so seamless, it becomes your new norm. I've created 2 distinct paths for you to do this because I know every woman's journey is unique. The first path is my Menopause Method program. This is for women who want to master her new biology kind of in a group setting, right? A group course without overwhelm. Okay. It's for you if you want to build confidence and make powerful changes over time in a way that feels sustainable and becomes second nature to you. And over the course of months, you'll find yourself very sneakily flying your own plane over changes so small you didn't even realize you were making them. Okay, we will make every week, we will add a new switch, okay, in a small, powerful bites that integrate in your life in 3 minutes or less. We do it together with the energy and accountability of women doing the exact same thing with you. It's a 1-year journey of sustainable information. If you want this path, it's $129 a month, less than a daily fancy cup of coffee, but it's an investment that pays you back in energy and confidence and health every single day. And if you commit to the full year, you save $500 by paying the full $997. If you want something a little more customized, right? So you want someone sitting in that cockpit with you, showing you the levers and picking which switches are best for your flight path, then you might want to look into the Menopause Lab. This is for women who are ready to go all in with a direct personalized blueprint. Okay, so a blueprint made specifically for you. So we start with a private one-on-one onboarding session with me. So we'll meet together. We'll map out your unique hormonal landscape. We'll create a personalized nutrition protocol, which is the simple 1-page guide that we work with. We'll build a game plan based on your goals, your symptoms, and your particular lifestyle. And your weekly implementation will be customized exclusively for you. There'll be no guesswork, right? This is focused, a 3-month, or you can keep going, intensive, designed around you. And because this is high-touched, I spend a lot of time with you. The investment is higher. It's $647 a month. And you can also save $500 by paying for the full 3 months at once of $1,447. Now, this program, however, is limited by how many women I can have in the program because it's higher touch and I spend so much time with you. So it really comes down, if you want help and guidance beyond these 3 days, it comes down to whether you want group flight lessons or private lessons, where I do this with you and develop a plan specifically for you. And for my amazing clients who are here today, this is a glimpse of the depth we'll be exploring of our continued work together. And for anyone new to my world, this could be day 1 for you. And nothing, whether you stop at these 3 days or you keep your journey going with me, this isn't about getting your old body back. Right? This is about building a stronger, more powerful version, a more vibrant version of yourself. One that your 20-year-old version, your 30-year-old version of you, the 40-year-old version of you will look at and think, wow, damn girl, right? So thank you so much for your time and energy today. I have a couple minutes before the session's up, and I'd love to answer any questions you have. You can drop those in the chat, or you can take yourself off. I don't know if you guys can take yourself off mute and ask me directly. So drop those questions, and I'm excited to hear from you.